So we decided to come out here to New Mexico to do a cow elk hunt so that we could, one, put meat in the freezer, and then two, get some great video content for our viewers from fieldtotable.com. You always have an expectation in your mind of how a hunt is going to go. It never ever goes that way. And we proceeded to walk about 12 miles that day and did not see one cow. So we're like, all right, so this is how it's going to go. So we were writing it off. We're like, all right, we'll come and sit at this spot in the morning. If nothing happens in the morning, we'll maybe grab a sandwich as we pass camp, and then we'll go back to where we've been hunting. Literally talking about that, and I catch something out of the corner of my eye, and I'll look just with my bare eyes. I see a cow elk. And I throw up my binos, got my Zeiss RFs with me. I range her real quick. I know what the range is on her. She's just under 300 yards. And I still tell James, come on, let's go. So he grabs the camera. But I had a boulder right next to me where I was glassing, and just the perfect height for me to lay my rifle. And I threw my sandstock bag up there, put my rifle on it, and put a cow call out. She didn't hear it, so I did a really loud cow call. She stopped, turned, looked, sit one, boom, and you hear that whack. We still got just enough light to get down to her and check her out, get a little bit of video, a few pictures, and then we start the process with Chef.
So I look at it as two components. When I say field to the table, I say field to the cutting board, and then from the cutting board to the plate and the table. Because when it comes from the field, if you don't have good quality to the cutting board, you can't fix it afterwards. Well, congratulations.
Thanks, buddy.
That was great.
That was fun, huh?
That was good.
I do this as a hunter. I haven't done it as preparing it for my table. So I'm learning with you guys at the same time. That's why I've got my buddy Albert here. It's a completely different aspect when you're looking at it from a chef's perspective, from a cooking perspective. Chef Wutsch here is going to help us out and show us how to properly butcher one for the table.
Looking forward to it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So we're going to field dress her the old-fashioned traditional way. Basically what I'm going to do, and you can feel the bone, so you just want to keep the knife up against the bone. And we want to just be able to just, in a sense, pull this out. Back in here, which again, you can feel the bones, so you're not cutting into the meat. So now we don't have anything from the anal cavity coming out of there on your tenderloins.
Gotcha.
Once that's totally loose, then we start on the front end. And what I like to do is I like to go up first, get it open all the way to the sternum up here.
Yep.
So that way I can work and see before I start opening
okay.
Stomach up.
So you can see where you're going.
Exactly.
Yeah, boy, yeah, there it all is. There we go.
So now we're going to take this little saw, this pack saw, and we're going to pull this and just cut right along the sternum there. You see the anal tract back there?
Yep.
You should be able to reach in here and loosen. There's a lot of connective tissue in here, but you should be able to pull this right through. So we want to take the windpipe out from right up there in the neck, because the windpipe has who knows what in it, and it could sour the neck and the meat really fast, along with that arch. See, you can cut right through there. There you go.
Nah, we're loose. There it is.
We'll open this up soon, but we didn't do this so nothing spilled from the stomach on the inside top round. Look how clean that cavity is. But we want to basically just circumcise the hide here, and we'll start peeling this off, and then we'll peel it off the leg. And we'll lay it down so that as we take the meat off,
So it can lay on the hide.
and then I'll lift this up, and then you can make the cut. Important thing what happens when you get back here is you don't want to cut into that premium cut
To the
back
back strap.
because that's the prime rib right there.
Okay.
Get a piece of string, put it on our table here. So how I'm going to approach this now, this has been aged, it's nice and dry, it's clean, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, basically some trim off of here first before we actually start cutting it. So basically all I'm going to do is just peel this off, follow the bone, and take it off in 2 pieces. So then the next cut is a bone that comes right along here, and I'm just going to trim this off. And having a nice sharp knife helps. And what I do with the cutting boards is I put wet paper towels under the cutting board so the cutting board doesn't slide around. So we come in behind this wing, down to the bone, and when I do this, I'm cutting along the bone, so I'm not burying the knife because I'm going to cut that nice piece of shoulder clod right there. And you can see, you can see the bone there. So basically we're just going to peel it off. I could actually do this with the animal hanging, if it was hanging by a gambrel, you could just do it just like that, really. So, or you can do it on a bench, or you could do it on a log in the field. So we just go around that joint, right down this blade, right under. Always cut away from yourself, always cut away from your buddy. And then once you get it to this point at the edge, you can just trim it right along the shoulder blade. So how do we take the flat iron off of this shoulder clod? If you look in between these muscles, basically you can find the seam right here and almost take it apart with your hands. Then the longer you age your meat, the easier these seams come apart. And we'll just trim this piece off of here. And we can trim a little bit of this connective tissue off of there. Okay, so we're going to take this shoulder clod and just trim it up a little bit. So we're going to take some of this fat off and some of this trim off. And then I'm going to take some of this fascia off. That's what makes the meat taste gamey. That's what makes it contort out of shape, and that's what makes it chewy. So I'll take this piece off. And then we're gonna just come underneath this connective tissue. So we wanna pull the meat over and lay it down. And that way the knife will stay close to that fascia and that silver skin. That's cleaned up nice. So this is going to be our pot roast. We have a fairly tough cut of meat off the front leg. So we're going to use a braising method, which is a combination cooking method of browning and searing, which would be the dry cooking method. And then we're going to add some vegetables and some wine and some sauce, which is we're adding moisture. We're going to bring it to a boil, adjust the taste and the thickness, and then we're going to finish it in the oven. So it's a really good dish for less tender cuts. So while that's getting hot, we're going to take a little bit of oil And we're in camp here, so we're roughing it a little bit. So we're just using whatever we've got in camp. So we'll put some oil on the meat, coat it, and we're using some Rectech freaking Greek rub and get it nice and coated and seasoned. You can see that it's getting hot now, it's starting to smoke. So I'm gonna add a little bit of oil, just enough oil to coat the bottom of the pan. We know it's at the smoke point already, we can see that. And I'm gonna take this piece of meat, this is the outer surface of the muscle, that's gonna go down first. If you don't hear that sound, you know the pan's not hot enough. Cooking is like hunting. You're using your senses. You're looking at it, you're listening to it, you're touching it. So you can see I'm getting some brown on the edges. So now I'm just gonna brown this side. And you can see how that outer fascia, when we left that on there, how that contorted that meat. But as this cooks with the moisture in the oven, all that's gonna relax. And we're getting that nice brown fond on the bottom of the pan to give us flavor and color. So we got a nice looking shaped piece of meat here off the front leg. Take that off, we're gonna put it here in this bowl. Just let it rest. Now into the pan goes onion, garlic, turnips, rutabagas, celery, carrots, and butternut squash. So we're slowly gonna get a brown on this. I don't wanna get it too hot. We're gonna use a brown sauce that we made. It's basically brown stock thickened with roux, which was equal parts flour and butter. We'll season it with a little pepper. I'm gonna throw a bay leaf in this. The lucky hunter will get that. So now we're getting some brown on our vegetable. So now we're gonna take and we're gonna deglaze it with some wine. That liquid removes the fond. And we're gonna boil that down. Gonna take and add some tomatoes to this. Boil that down and reduce that a little bit before we add some of our brown sauce, which is fairly thick, but we've got quite a lot of wine in there. I'm gonna thin that sauce out just a little bit, because as this cooks for 3 hours, we'll have to check it every once in a while. It's always fork tender, meaning it falls off the fork when you stick it. And we have to adjust the consistency of the sauce, because if it's gonna be in there for 3 hours, it could thicken up a little bit. And we'll taste it as we check it. So it's already come to a boil. If you didn't bring it to a boil, it could take twice as long, and we're gonna cover it. So now I'm gonna put this in the oven. Potatoes are going in the oven with the meat. Then after that, it'll be time to eat.